It's no fault of Elvis. He loved the song.
Most people know Dolly Parton as America's sweetheart, the country music star with the big hair, sparkly outfits, and kind heart. She's famous for her beautiful voice and generous spirit. But like many successful people in the music business, Dolly has faced her share of professional conflicts and challenging relationships over the years. While she's known for being positive and avoiding drama, there have been times when tensions arose with other musicians and industry figures. Dolly's early life and rise to fame. Dolly Rebecca Parton was born on January 19, 1946, in a small one-room cabin in Locust Ridge, Tennessee. She grew up in a large, loving but poor family with 12 children. Her father, Lee Parton, worked hard as a farmer and construction worker, even though he couldn't read or write. Her mother, Avi Lee, had all 12 children before she turned 35, and shared her love of music and storytelling with her kids. For the Parton family, music wasn't just entertainment, it was a way of life. Since they didn't have money for other forms of fun, the children learned to sing in church and harmonize together on the porch. Dolly's special voice was noticed early on, and by age 10, she was performing on local radio and television shows in nearby Knoxville. She even got to perform at the Grand Ole Opry as a child. The day after graduating high school in 1964, 18-year-old Dolly packed her belongings and headed to Nashville with big dreams, but no money or connections. She started by writing songs for other artists, but she wanted to be a performer herself. Her first country hit came in 1967 with a song called Dumb Blonde, which showed the world she wasn't just a pretty face, but a smart, talented artist. Dolly's big break came when she joined the Porter Wagoner Show in 1967. This television appearance made her famous across the country. Millions of people watched her perform each week, and her duets with Porter Wagoner became very popular. People loved their musical chemistry and Dolly's magnetic personality. By the early 1970s, she launched her solo career and released some of her most famous songs, including Jolene in 1973 and I Will Always Love You, which later became a massive hit for Whitney Houston. During the 1980s, Dolly expanded beyond music into movies and business. She starred in the film 9 to 5, alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, proving she could act as well as sing. In 1986, she opened Dollywood, her own theme park in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, which helped boost the local economy in her hometown area. Throughout her career, Dolly has written thousands of songs, won multiple Grammy Awards, and been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She's also given away millions of books through her Imagination Library program, making sure children everywhere have access to reading materials. Despite building an image as sweet and humble, even someone as kind as Dolly has had her limits when dealing with difficult people in the music industry. The Porter Wagoner conflict, one of Dolly's most complicated professional relationships, was with Porter Wagoner, the man who helped launch her career but later tried to control it. Before Dolly became famous, Porter was already a big name in country music. He had his own television show called The Porter Wagoner Show, which was one of the most popular country music programs in America during the 1960s. Porter was known for his flashy stage presence and sharp business sense. When Dolly joined Porter's show, she replaced his previous female vocalist, Norma Jean. Many fans weren't happy about this change at first. Some even booed Dolly during performances and wrote her angry letters. But Porter believed in her talent and insisted she stay on the show. Dolly remained, gracious and determined, knowing she had something to prove. It didn't take long for Porter and Dolly to become a successful duo. Their voices blended perfectly, and they had great chemistry on stage. Together, they recorded more than a dozen top 10 hits. To television audiences, they looked like the perfect team, but behind the scenes, tensions were building. The problem was that Porter didn't just want to sing with Dolly. He wanted to control her entire career. He managed her appearances, decided what songs they would record, and had the final say on most business decisions. But Dolly wasn't just a singer with a pretty voice. She was also a talented songwriter with her own creative vision and ambitions that went far beyond being half of a duo. For years, Dolly played along with Porter's management style, but as she became more famous, she wanted more independence. She began writing songs that didn't fit the traditional Porter and Dolly style. She wanted creative freedom and most importantly, control over her own career. Later, she would say that Porter had difficulty seeing her as his equal. While he had given her a platform to showcase her talents, that same platform eventually became limiting. The situation became unbearable by 1973, and in 1974, Dolly left the Porter-Wagoner show. To the public, it seemed like an amicable split, but the real drama was just beginning. 5 years after she left the show, Porter surprised everyone by suing Dolly for $3 million. He claimed she had broken their contract and owed him management fees, show expenses, and a portion of her income since leaving the program. Dolly was shocked by the lawsuit. She had always considered Porter a mentor, even though their working relationship had become strained. The legal action felt like a betrayal to her. The case became public, with press coverage and industry gossip, but Dolly chose not to fight publicly. Instead, she quietly settled the Feuds, a case out of court. She later explained that she didn't want to engage in a long battle. She just wanted her freedom. The whole situation took an emotional toll on Dolly. Porter had been important to her, and they had created music history together. Yet he couldn't let her go without a fight. In one interview, she explained how difficult it was to leave the show, saying that Porter had a hard time accepting her departure because it would affect his program. They were connected in many emotional ways, and he simply wouldn't listen to her desire for independence. Fortunately, time helped heal their relationship. By the late 1980s, after years of being on bad terms, Porter and Dolly began talking again. In 2002, Dolly did something that surprised many people. She inducted Porter-Wagoner into the Country Music Hall of Fame. During the ceremony, she spoke about how much he had meant to her, even through their difficult times. When Porter was hospitalized with lung cancer in 2007, Dolly visited him. He passed away shortly afterward, and Dolly was deeply saddened. She held a tribute concert at Dollywood, not for publicity, but to honor the man who had helped launch her dreams, even though he had also tried to control them. Tensions with Linda Ronstadt. Another challenging professional relationship involved Linda Ronstadt, with whom Dolly collaborated on a famous album called Trio, along with Emmylou Harris. The three women were powerhouse performers in country music who came together in the 1980s to create something special. Their voices blended beautifully, and they produced hits that are still beloved today. However, behind the scenes, the collaboration wasn't as smooth as their harmonies suggested, especially between Dolly and Linda. The idea for the collaboration began in the mid-1970s when all three women were already established stars. They admired each other's work and wanted to record together, but conflicting schedules and record label complications kept delaying their plans. It wasn't until 1987 that their first album, titled Trio, was finally released. The album was incredibly successful. It went platinum, topped the country charts, and won a Grammy Award. While the music was harmonious, the recording sessions were anything but peaceful. Dolly, known for her efficient work style, preferred to complete songs in just 1 or 2 takes. She liked to work quickly and move on to the next project. Linda, on the other hand, was a perfectionist, who often spent hours trying to get a single vocal line exactly right. Emmylou Harris found herself in the middle, trying to keep the peace between her two collaborators. Dolly later revealed that working with Linda was extremely challenging. Linda's slow, meticulous approach to recording frustrated Dolly, who was used to a much faster pace. The tension became obvious to everyone involved, and it was clear that their different working styles were causing problems. Despite these challenges, the trio attempted a second album in 1994. They recorded Trio 2, but once again, label disputes and scheduling conflicts delayed its release. The album didn't come out until 1999, but by then, the damage to their working relationship had been done. Linda was quite vocal about her frustrations with Dolly's approach to the project. In interviews, she criticized Dolly for being unreliable, claiming that Dolly would often cancel plans or show up late to recording sessions. Linda felt that Dolly wasn't fully committed to the group effort and was more focused on her solo career. She made it clear that she felt Dolly didn't respect the process or the level of commitment needed to complete their collaboration successfully. The tension between the two singers was significant enough that Linda publicly stated she had no intention of working with Dolly again. She felt that Dolly's lack of professionalism had spoiled what should have been a joyful collaboration between three talented women. While time may have softened some of these feelings, and both women have shown signs of reconciliation in later years, their working relationship never fully recovered. The success of the trio albums remains a testament to their musical talents, but the behind-the-scenes conflicts serve as a reminder that even the most talented artists can have difficulty working together when their styles and expectations don't align. The Elvis Presley situation. One of the most interesting conflicts in Dolly's career involved Elvis Presley, though it was more of a business disagreement than a personal feud. The situation centered around Dolly's iconic song, "I Will Always Love You," which she wrote in 1973 as a heartfelt farewell to Porter Wagoner when she decided to leave his show and pursue her solo career. The song quickly became a hit and earned Dolly widespread recognition. What she didn't expect was that Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, would become interested in recording his own version. In the mid-1970s, Elvis was at the height of his fame and had a reputation for taking other artists' songs and making them his own hits. When Elvis expressed interest in covering "I Will Always Love You," Dolly was naturally flattered. However, there was a serious problem with the business arrangement. Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, was known for demanding outrageous deals when it came to songs that Elvis wanted to record. Colonel Parker wanted to take at least 50% of the royalties for any song Elvis recorded, which was an enormous amount. For Dolly, who was just establishing herself as a songwriter, this demand was unacceptable. It wasn't just about the money, it was about respect for her work and setting a precedent for how she would be treated in the music industry. She knew the value of her song and wasn't willing to let someone take advantage of her. Dolly made the difficult decision to turn down Elvis's request. She told his manager that this was the most important copyright in her publishing company, and she couldn't agree to give up so much of the royalties. This decision took courage, especially since Elvis was such a huge star at the time. Dolly later revealed that Elvis was very upset by her refusal. According to her, Elvis had genuinely loved the song and really wanted to record it. She felt bad for disappointing him, but she knew that giving in would set a dangerous precedent for other artists and managers to take advantage of her in the future. The situation caused tension between Dolly and Elvis, even though she tried to be respectful about her decision. The conflict was deeply personal for both of them. Dolly later admitted that she didn't think Elvis ever fully forgave her for saying no. In interviews, she has said she was heartbroken by the fallout, especially since she respected Elvis so much as an artist. She noted that Elvis was sensitive, and while he didn't lash out directly, there was a noticeable change in their relationship after the incident. In the end, Dolly's decision to hold on to "I Will Always Love You" proved to be one of the best business decisions of her career. Years later, Whitney Houston covered the song for the movie The Bodyguard, and it became one of the most successful songs of all time. Houston's version brought the song to a whole new generation and made Dolly millions of dollars in royalties. Despite the tension with Elvis, Dolly never regretted her decisions. She has said that she felt good about standing up for herself, even if it meant going against one of the biggest stars of her time. The situation taught her valuable lessons about protecting her work and standing firm in business negotiations. The Howard Stern controversy. For someone as sweet and scandal-free as Dolly Parton, it takes a lot to make her truly angry. But in 2008, radio personality Howard Stern managed to push her to the breaking point with one of the most offensive incidents of her career. Howard Stern is widely known for his controversial and often offensive approach to radio entertainment. His show became hugely popular during the 1980s and 1990s by featuring content that other broadcasters wouldn't dare to air. While his fans saw him as fearless, his critics considered him crude and often harmful. In 2008, Dolly found herself at the center of an extremely controversial segment on Stern's show. His production team took clips from Dolly's audiobook, My Life and Other Unfinished Business, and edited them together to create a fake interview. They used actual recordings of Dolly's voice but spliced together words and phrases to make it sound like she was saying vulgar, racist, and disgusting things. The fake interview made it sound like Dolly was insulting other artists, including Kenny Rogers and Linda Ronstadt, while also making crude remarks about her own body and personal life. Stern's team played this fabricated content on the air and laughed about it, treating it as just another shock segment. But for Dolly and her millions of fans, it was a cruel character assassination. Dolly, who rarely gets publicly angry, was devastated by this incident. She issued a rare and emotional public statement expressing her shock and hurt. She said she had never been so humiliated in her entire life and couldn't believe what Howard Stern had done to her. She explained that she would never say such vulgar things and that the segment was extremely offensive to her. The incident was so upsetting to Dolly that she even hinted at taking legal action against Stern, which was huge because she almost never threatens lawsuits. She said that if there was ever going to be a lawsuit in her career, it would be over this incident. Her fans were outraged, and country music stations, longtime supporters, and casual listeners flooded comment sections defending her. When the backlash hit, Howard Stern didn't apologize or express regret. Instead, he laughed it off, insisting it was just a joke and claiming it was never meant to hurt her. To Stern, it was just satire, but to Dolly, it was deeply personal and hurtful. After this incident in 2008, Dolly and Howard didn't interact for many years. Dolly, as always, took the high road and never publicly attacked Stern in interviews or on television. She let her fans and the public speak for her, but the wound from this incident lingered for a long time. Surprisingly, something unexpected happened in 2023. Dolly shocked her fans by appearing on the Howard Stern show for the first time ever. It had been 15 years since the scandal, and nobody expected her to walk into that studio. However, Dolly had a specific reason for the appearance. She was promoting her rock album, Rockstar, and was willing to step out of her comfort zone to reach new audiences. During the 2023 interview, Stern was surprisingly respectful. He called her a legend, complimented her energy and voice, and dialed back his usual sarcastic approach. However, the tension in the room was still obvious, and it seemed clear that if Dolly hadn't needed to promote her album, she probably would never have agreed to appear on his show. The interview demonstrated Dolly's maturity and her ability to move forward from past conflicts when it serves her professional interests. Criticism from Jeff Tweedy. While Dolly Parton's status in the music world is nearly untouchable, there have been critics who questioned her songwriting abilities. One such critic was Jeff Tweedy, the frontman of the alternative country band Wilco. Tweedy, who is respected for his own songwriting in indie and alternative country music, made headlines when he publicly criticized Dolly's work. The controversy began when Tweedy was interviewed about various aspects of the music industry. During the conversation, he spoke about Dolly Parton and her place in music history. While Tweedy acknowledged Dolly's impact on country music and her importance as a cultural figure, he was critical of what he saw as the superficial nature of her lyrics. Tweedy argued that Dolly's songs were more about catchy hooks and broad appeal, rather than the complex, thought-provoking lyrics he valued in songwriting. He compared her work unfavorably to other songwriters who he felt delivered more depth and meaning in their music. In his view, while Dolly's songs might be popular and widely appealing, they lacked the complexity that he believed was necessary for truly great songwriting. In one particularly pointed comment, Tweedy mentioned that Dolly had written both Jolene and I Will Always Love You on the same day, and suggested that she should have stopped writing after Jolene. This comment seemed to dismiss not only I Will Always Love You, but also decades of Dolly's subsequent songwriting work. While Tweedy's comments weren't exactly cruel, they were undeniably critical and dismissive. This was especially significant coming from someone known for his own deeply personal and sometimes abstract lyrics. He seemed to reduce Dolly's long and successful career to something less meaningful than what her fans and many critics considered it to be. Reports suggested that Dolly became aware of Tweedy's comments and didn't appreciate the criticism. Throughout her career, Dolly has always been proud of her songwriting abilities. Many of her songs are deeply personal and reflective of her own life experiences, from her poor childhood in Tennessee to her struggles in the music industry. To hear a fellow musician undermine her work in this way must have been particularly stinging. What made Tweedy's criticism even more problematic was that Dolly has always been open about her approach to songwriting. In numerous interviews, she has described how personal her lyrics are and how they reflect her genuine life experiences and emotions. She writes from the heart about things that matter to her and her audience, which makes academic criticism of her style seem somewhat beside the point. Ultimately, Dolly's response to this criticism was to let her work speak for itself. Her legacy as a songwriter is undeniable, regardless of what Jeff Tweedy or any other critic might say. Her songs have been covered by artists across multiple genres and generations, from country to pop to rock. The fact that I Will Always Love You became one of the biggest songs of all time through Whitney Houston's version is just one example of how Dolly's songwriting transcends the boundaries that critics might try to place on it. Dolly's approach to conflict. Throughout all of these professional conflicts and challenges, Dolly Parton has consistently demonstrated remarkable grace and resilience. Rather than engaging in public feuds or responding to criticism with anger, she has generally taken the high road while still protecting her interests and standing up for her principles. Her approach to handling difficult people and situations has been shaped by her upbringing and her understanding of the music business. She learned early in her career that maintaining her dignity and focusing on her work was more important than winning arguments or getting revenge on people who treated her poorly. At the same time, Dolly has never been a pushover. When Colonel Tom Parker tried to take advantage of her with the Elvis Presley deal, she stood firm and protected her rights as a songwriter. When Porter Wagoner sued her, she settled the case quietly, but on her own terms. When Howard Stern attacked her character, she spoke out forcefully to defend herself. These experiences have helped shape Dolly into not just a successful entertainer, but also a savvy businesswoman who understands how to navigate the complex relationships and politics of the music industry. Her ability to forgive past conflicts while still protecting her interests has allowed her to maintain her reputation and continue building her career over more than 5 decades. Conclusion: Dolly Parton's journey through the music world shows that even the kindest and most beloved stars face professional conflicts and challenges. Her experiences with Porter Wagoner, Linda Ronstadt, Elvis Presley, Howard Stern, and Jeff Tweedy demonstrate that success in the entertainment industry often requires dealing with difficult people and situations. What sets Dolly apart is not that she avoided these conflicts, but how she handled them. She has shown that it's possible to stand up for yourself and protect your interests while still maintaining your dignity and values. Her ability to move forward from these difficult experiences while learning from them has been key to her long-term success. Today, Dolly Parton remains one of the most respected and beloved figures in American music. Her conflicts with others in the industry have become footnotes in a career filled with achievement, generosity, and artistic excellence. These experiences have made her stronger and wiser, contributing to the remarkable woman and artist she has become.